y'all. I hope you're having a happy Friday. I wanted to share a clip from the Imagination Podcast YouTube channel. I think Emma is doing really great work on her channel, and I have kind of shared tidbits from her channel before, and I wanted to share with you guys, especially those of you who were up very late or very early. We chatted into the very wee morning hours. I enjoyed the live. I enjoyed everything that we got to discuss and cover. We were up very late. So thank you. I appreciate you guys if you were there. We covered a lot, and this is coincidence maybe, but I think you guys will find this interesting, and I will put the entire video link in the description box, and pay close attention, y'all, because it makes me wonder, for real, is some of this going on in that quaint, sleepy old little town of Moscow, Idaho? Well, I don't know, you tell me, but Moscow is mentioned, and I just think you guys will really, your ears will be perked, that's for sure. And Jen, if you're listening, Criminal Confidential Jen with two N's, that Jen. I don't know if he talks about the religious aspect in this clip. So if not, you definitely will find interest in this for sure. So be sure to check out the whole video. And yeah, so let me know what you guys think about this. I think it's, well, like I said last night and many times, I didn't believe in this stuff until this case. And is this what's going on? Is he making a lot of sense to many of you? And I don't know. You guys, you tell me. Let me know your thoughts. Everything is for entertainment purposes only in this video and all my videos. And, you know, just my opinion. Little old me, just little old me. I find it very, very interesting, though, that we just talked about all of this. So let me know in the comments section. Hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell. Appreciate each and every one of you guys, and have a wonderful Friday. Sorry, I'm talking very quickly, but I'm late as always, and I'm going to a month later birthday lunch. So anyways, y'all, have a great day. Stay safe. I'll let you guys, the few of you, know the outcome of what occurred yesterday when I have more info. All right, guys, love y'all. I hope someone has heard from Kane. Let me know that too, guys. All right, stay safe. I'll catch you guys on the next one.
So that they can use you for various things, and you can go about your daily life living as a normal individual in society, and no one would suspect who you are. So it begins with trauma. They traumatize you from the time that you're born. And the most horrid kind of trauma to inflict on a child is sexual abuse by their family. So I was abused by my family, by my father, by my grandfather, by my uncle, various other individuals from the time that I was born. As far back as I can remember sexual abuse in our family. And this is generational. I come from a satanic generational incestual bloodline. And so it's been going on in my family for a very long time. And those are the strongest children to disassociate, is my understanding, are children from satanic bloodlines who have, their family has a history of incestual abuse. And so they take these children. It's an interesting dynamic, Emma, because there are various family bloodlines and children who've been abused that are collected into the project. And not all children that have been abused and are in satanic bloodlines are necessarily going to be pulled into the project. They may go through trauma-based mind control programming and satanic ritual abuse, but they may not be owned by the CIA. I was owned, literally owned as a slave by the Central Intelligence Agency, called a mind slave. That's how they could use me for various things. I have to get a drink of water. I'm sorry, Emma.
You have nothing to be sorry for. Take water anytime you need.
Nice, thank you. Yeah. So trauma-based mind control, they find kids, they find bloodlines, they do genealogical searches for these people, they seek them out and they find them. And sometimes that family keeps their family in the project, such as my family. My grandfather was involved with the CIA for as far back as I know. And my uncle, I don't know when he got involved with the CIA, probably after he was done with the Marines. But they they find these children and they test them for their ability to disassociate. So the satanic families and the pedophiles that are abusing these children, they are grooming them for future use potential as mind slaves. And so I was tested when I was 6 years old, or 5 years old. We talked about that in our last meeting. And I was sponsored by the Central Intelligence Agency to go through trauma-based mind control programming. And that programming took place at Disneyland. And so trauma-based mind control is being practiced all over the place. And so back to, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. I'll stay focused. So
You're doing great.
MK Ultra, they're seeking out these children and then they are putting them into the project. And then they are raised under a very scientifically formulated process designed by the CIA. The CIA didn't invent it. They're not the first ones to start doing this. Satanic families have been doing it for a long time, and Satanists. And so it's nothing new, but the CIA has enhanced it greatly to a scientific process. And you're raised to be subjected to mind control programming in various places as a child and as you're growing. And so I was taken a lot to Disneyland, and there's a lot of mind control programming that happens at the Disneyland facility. Oh, we would go for a week at a time, once a year. Now, there's a couple years I believe we didn't go. I'm not sure what years those were yet, but so they find these children, they abuse them, and you're put through horrible things in the project. They're trying to break your mind. They're trying to split your mind and take you to a point where those personalities are flawless and they do awful things, Emma. They make you watch children be murdered in front of you. That happened several times while I was in Disneyland. I wrote about an experience of that in Disneyland 1984 that people can read on my website. And there are other experiences that I had down there of watching other children die, and it could be random and it could be planned out. And then in Disneyland, the programming included pornography. You were made to be in child pornography, this weird porn that was theme based, and they would have various people dressed up, children made to come there and watch this porn being filmed, dressed up in costumes. So they would be brought in and they would be in costumes. And it was always theme based. And these costumes varied. Sometimes it was Sesame Street themed, and sometimes it was NASA themed and alien themed. And so it varied in the theme of it. And so you were traumatized in that way through the project. You are also traumatized. It's very satanic, all of it. It's very satanic. You were traumatized by making you drink blood. They'd kill people and make you consume their blood. And they would also make you eat human flesh, was which was really disgusting and awful. Um, but those are the kinds of things that they do in the project. They also make you abuse each other. I went through programming with my cousin and my little brother. My little brother was also selected for the project, and my younger cousin. And so the CIA sponsors this abuse. And then when you reach a certain age, where you are now well programmed enough, you have reached a certain point, a certain level of existence in the project, they will purchase you as from your parents or from your guardian or whoever that individual is. And I was purchased from my parents when I was 15 by Senator Robert Byrd. He was a real scumbag. I knew him. I remember meeting him when I was 6, the first time I was in Disneyland. And he was a very bad person. But they would then purchase you. And this purchase would be made, in my case, it was made through a government contract to my parents through the local school district. My father owned a computer store, and he got a large government contract through the local school district, something to do with their computer systems. And that's how I was paid for by the government and by Byrd. And so what MK Ultra is about is finding children from satanic and dissociative families, ancestral families, and then traumatizing them, programming them. This programming also involves things like deprivation tanks. These were designed by Dr. John C. Lilly. I met Lilly. He was one of the doctors in charge of my programming. I knew him as John, and he was interesting, an interesting fellow, but he was funded by our government for his research. And I was one of his projects, this Dr. John C. Lilly. And so they have various doctors involved as well. Lots of people are involved. And so they take these children, they put them through this programming, and then they purchase them and they use them. The programming is supposed to never end. You're supposed to be getting updates. You're supposed to be, your abuse is supposed to continue. When I was older, but I hadn't remembered these things yet, this was before 2017, I can remember, for example, being with my father on a camping trip, and him in the middle of the night, we were sleeping together because we were out camping, and so we were sleeping next to each other in bags. But in the middle of the night, he started to rub my leg, and I woke up and I was like, "What are you doing, dude? Like, what are you doing?" Yeah, and oh, well, I'm sorry. I thought you were your mom, you know. And he rolls back, yeah, and he rolls back over. But he was trying to continue, yeah, he was trying to continue the abuse, is what he was trying to do.
Oh,
And he would say various things. My family would trigger me when we would go visit. When I was going to college, we'd come down from Moscow, Idaho to Nampa, Idaho to visit, and they would trigger me. And this would leave me in a bad way for several days. And so then there were other things that happened when I was away from my family before I started to remember, because they were always trying to bring me back and continue my programming. And so they take these children and then now they're useful to the CIA. For me, I was used, like you mentioned earlier, for getting rid of folks that the government, the Satanic Elite, the Pentagon, the White House, the CIA wanted gone, needed gone. Even just people that I don't quite understand all the dynamics. I don't. And so, but I was made to make people go away. I was also used a lot in pornography as a child. And some of this pornography was made with my family, and some of it was made for Bird himself. Not that he wanted to watch it, but he made money on it. And so I was used for things like that as well. I was also being placed in some kind of position in the Mormon church. We talked about that in our last meeting, and that is interesting. So they use us all over. They use us also in politics. Some of those folks there in Washington, those are trauma-based mind slaves, and they're doing what they're told. And some of them are trauma-based mind slave handlers, and they're also doing what they're told. And some more of those people you can read about in Kathy O'Brien's work, such as the Romneys, the Clintons, the Leahy, Senator Leahy, he's in Vermont. And so you can read about those various individuals. We're also used in Hollywood. Hollywood is it's a social engineering tool that the Satanic Elite and the Central Intelligence Agency are well aware of the power that they have through that medium. They're able to create a social framework of reality through Hollywood. And so they work hard at controlling it. I knew personally Leonardo DiCaprio. I met him a couple times. He was an interesting individual, a lot of pain in his life, but he was an interesting individual. And he was a person too, I will add. And he could be a nice person. He could be a real asshole too, but he could be a real nice person. And so they use us in all kinds of different things. They also use us in the music industry, country music industry, but not country music industry alone, also rock, any rap, any industry where they can make money and generate their social agenda, that they will use you. And so I hope that that has provided somewhat of a description of what MK Ultra is. Yeah, I also have on my website an essay I wrote, What is MK Ultra? And folks can go there and read that at my website, mormonmonarch.com. And that will probably give you a clearer definition. But I hope that I have defined that somewhat, Emma, in that.
You did great. And I appreciate you putting together that big picture because I think even people that understand what it is, it's such a big, like you said, every single industry, there's nothing that's exempt from being controlled. You know, anything that we can
Well,
see that's on TV, that gets publicized, that gets elevated, that's in a magazine, like it's all engineered to create our reality. And I think
yeah,
people get so swept up in believing the reality that it's hard to take in what MKUltra is and to the extent that it goes because it's just such a big picture to put together. And you did a really beautiful job explaining how it starts on a micro scale with, you know, these experiments that they're doing with children, and then how it
yeah,
expands into this network, whether it's generational families or the media or all of it, you know. So thank you so much for doing that. That was extremely helpful.
nice. Right on. Yeah, so it's everywhere. And it's not just here in the States, it's global.